If you think Zionism started with Theodore Herzl, you're wrong. If you think Zionism started with the Nakba, wrong again. The Palestinians are not indigenous to the land. For some reason, the Bible, cannot be used for a document of history. Wrong again. It just so happens that the very same people that the Bible talks about in the region are still there. In particular, the Jews. At the time, in the Bible, Israelis. The indigenous people that were there, biblically speaking, Amorites, Hittites, Jebusites, Hivites, and a few more ites that kind of slips my mind. When Abraham went into Canaan, he actually purchased land in silver. David, as in King David, bought the threshing floor where the Temple Mount is from a Jebusite. If you don't know what the Temple Mount is, it's in Jerusalem. There is a mosque, Dome of the Rock, Al-Aqsa. This is where Solomon's temple was built first, and then later on Herod had made a lot of additions and upgrades to it. And then eventually it was destroyed by Titus in 70 AD, also known as the Jewish-Roman War. We can see depictions of this on an arch called the Arch of Titus. The history of Israel is very important to know. We just can't go through life supporting something or not supporting something that we know absolutely nothing about, especially the ancient history. Although the Bible is not a legal document, but it is a document of history. Even the very people that are there will agree with this history. So let's go back to Theodore Herzl. Theodore Herzl is not the progenitor of Zionism. In the early 1800s, there was a proto-Zionism, if you will. But even then, depending on who you ask, that isn't where Zionism actually begins. Now, if you don't know what Zionism is, it's definitely not a political statement, or it's not made up in more recent times. It's actually Jerusalem. It is the desire to be in Jerusalem. Depending on who you ask, there are 4 exiles in the Bible of the Israelis and or the Jews. The Zionism that God's people had in the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible is the Zionism that is talked about. Now, of course, in the Old Testament, these political ideas didn't really exist other than the fact they desired to go back to Jerusalem and to inhabit the land God had given them, the land of Israel. For the reasons why the children of Israel were exiled, we'll get to that in another video. The foundations of Zionism is when God had told Abraham to leave his home and to go to Canaan to inherit a land. God had also told Abraham, when you get there, I will make your descendants numerous, like the sands of the sea and the stars of the sky. This desire started way back in the time of Abraham, and when he got there, although he did not see the developed promised land as God had promised him, but what he did do is he gave him a son to be the progenitor of the children of Israel. Now, the very same people who are in opposition to Israel even being in the promised land, where the state of Israel currently, are the very same people that are in the Bible that are the ones that are opposing Israel. God did promise Ishmael would be a great nation, and he became a great nation. But the borders would not overlap the promised land that God gave Jacob and his descendants, which is Israel today. Now, this is part 1 of What is Zionism, and a lot more to come. Please subscribe and give me a like.